What's going on, guys? It's your boy JT, and we are back to the wonderful Crypto Den. Thank you for tuning in. Today, we're taking a more just educational approach for you all, okay? Before I get into it and explaining exactly what all the jargon is in this industry and space, I just want to let people know who may not know that my name is Jake Tullis. I go by JT, and I know things because I have 10 years of software development experience and a finance degree. So crypto is like my magic sauce. It is just the combination of my experience and interests. The majority of my career has been spent in startups and building companies, building products, building tools, interacting with investors, raising capital, literally everything that happens in crypto on a day-to-day. Because at the end of the day, this entire industry is a startup industry. Its entire size is 1/3 of Microsoft. Like, really small. So it really is my specialty. And if you have any doubts or any questions of my credibility, I have my link tree in the banner. It'll take you to my career. You can Google me. I'm out there. I'm very public, as you may guess. So with that, I'm here to try and help you understand what each little nuance or word means in crypto. So first, you have a blockchain, okay? A blockchain is just a network, okay? You can think of it like that. You have a network for your phone, right? You may not understand it, but there's those big old towers and satellites, and you're like, there's stuff, right? There's stuff out there, and it takes my, my frequency, if you even know that, in between the nodes and all that stuff. That might be too technical, but what you need to understand is that no different than the radio tower sticking out of the ground or the satellite in our orbit, blockchains are networks. They just look different. You know, it could be supported by a miner plugged into the wall. That would be like a satellite. And then all of us sending Bitcoin to one another, as an example, would be us using the satellite to make a call or text. You could think of it that way. Okay, a block is, and I have a great video on this, but it's basically just a space for storage, similar to iCloud. When you subscribe to iCloud and you pay $5.99 a month or whatever the prices are for a terabyte, you're buying essentially 1 terabyte of storage. When you submit a transaction to a blockchain, you are buying a little unit of storage, just a little space in that block. And you can store whatever the hell you want on it, as long as it fits within the block size. So for Bitcoin, for example, that's 4 megabytes. If you have a 4 megabyte kind of piece of data that you want to store on Bitcoin, you absolutely can do that if you buy the block. And then you buy the block by paying the fees of a transaction, and boom, you've bought the block. It's all kind of innate. It just happens as you use the network. Smart contracts are basically buckets of code that enforce business rules on a token. So you could create a token, and I'll explain what a token is. I just thought I'll explain the token in a second here. But you could create one of those, a token, that says you can only spend this token to buy cigarettes. And it will literally deny every attempt of spending that token until you buy a pack of cigarettes. And it'll be like, oh, yeah, that's a cigarette SKU or item code. Boom. Transaction approved, basically. It gets way more complex than that, but that's the general idea. A token is like a file. You can think of it like that. Microsoft Word creates .doc.docx, different kinds of files that are a product of the Microsoft Word application. You can't have Microsoft Word without a .doc file, and you can't have a .doc file without Microsoft Word or some other Word application, and that is the difference. Microsoft Word is like Bitcoin. It's a specific application, Word, running on the Microsoft operating system. I doubt you've thought about it this much, but that's what it is. And then when you use the word application, you create a doc file. Bitcoin is the blockchain or network, okay? And when you use Bitcoin, right, you have the token Bitcoin is a product. You can't have the token without the network or the network without the token. The token is the file we use to send value to one another. A .doc is just a file you use to exchange the information amongst one another. And that really is the difference between Web 2, Web 3, Web 1, Web 2, and Web 3. Web 3 is the internet of value. Web 2 is the internet, or Web 1 was the internet of information, and Web 2 was the internet of social proprietary, or notoriety, really. Right? It's social media and all that stuff, the transition of information to more of a social paradigm. Okay? In that Word doc example, I'm just exchanging information that I put on a doc file. And in Bitcoin, the same thing. I'm exchanging value that I trapped or locked onto the network by depositing money. I put in, $1,000. I got 0.05 Bitcoin, and boom, right there, I've created the Bitcoin token, and now I can send it to someone. And that's really what a token is, a network is. Smart contracts are basically the same thing as the Bitcoin token, but they have rules attached to them, and you can't change them because it's coded. The reason why you can't change them is encryption. Okay, encryption is actually, or specifically cryptography, that's the study of encryption. And cryptography is in the word crypto. None of this exists without encryption. The entire industry is based on encryption. That's why it's called cryptocurrency. It means a currency that's encrypted. Encrypted is literally just password protected. You could think of it as like a computer password, a really difficult password for a computer to solve, 128-bit. So it'd be like I know you techies might get a little angry, but it's essentially a 128 character password that one other computer would have to guess to break into it. That is in the trillions of permutations and virtually impossible, not completely, but virtually impossible for any computer to do at this time. So the networks are just impenetrable or immutable or unchangeable or simply you can't fuck with it. And that encryption is what makes all this even possible. I can't trust value to the internet. I can't put $1,000 of my money on the internet comfortably without trust. So right now we have to trust the bank. We have to trust whoever gave us the software to put our money in, the brokerage firm, maybe TD Ameritrade. We're trusting a software, that's owned by people and has a CEO and a board and everything else. In Web3, because everything's encrypted, I don't need to know who you are. I can just trust the code and trust the password that no one can solve to put my value there. And that's what creates a trustless environment. That is one of the core tenets that allows Web3 to prosper. Okay? We can put value on the internet, right? Because as soon as I do it, it's password protected and encrypted, and no one owns it. No one can really mess with it. And that's the beauty of it. Okay? And really, that should be enough to make you dangerous. Okay? I could go on and on and on forever, but I have learned that anything over 10 minutes or 4 numbers in that bottom right corner of videos, y'all won't click. So I appreciate you for tuning in, and hopefully I was able to give you the very basic fundamentals or principles of this industry, which should help you navigate as you do your research and look into it. Until next time, y'all. Peace and love.